Hello, my name is Anna and I love trying vintage recipes. So today I'm trying a recipe for Greek pizza from 1982. This recipe comes to us from the Enchanted Broccoli Forest by Molly Katzen. Confession, I have made this recipe before, but it's been about 25 years and I wanted to see if it's just as good as I remember. I love this book. I actually got this in high school. I first made this recipe in home economics class. This recipe and this book have always felt a little bit special to me. I'll talk a little bit more about why later. If you're gonna be making this recipe, I do wanna warn you, make sure that you prep all of your ingredients before assembling the pizza and baking it. And I'm not kidding here. There's a lot of prep, there's a lot of chopping, there's a lot of washing and destemming the spinach and everything. And then of course there's the pastry that you're working with, the phyllo pastry. That dries out quickly if you just kind of like let it sit out. So you wanna make sure that you have absolutely everything ready before you assemble. Molly says it takes 30 minutes to prep. I'm gonna say it takes 30 minutes minimum. It definitely took me a little bit longer, but I think this pizza is worth it. So I have 2 tablespoons of olive oil that I'm just heating over kind of like medium heat. You wanna make sure that you use like a really big deep skillet because you're gonna cook up a lot of spinach. To that I'm adding about a cup of minced onion. I just grated this on a box grater. And then I've got my salt here. You may need to add a little more salt later, we'll see. Like I said, it's been a while since I've made this. I'm just gonna let this cook for a few minutes. The onions, they are nice and soft, so I am gonna add my herbs next. So this is dried basil and dried oregano. I will have the full recipe in the description down below for the amounts if you wanna make this yourself. And now comes so much spinach. This is a full pound of spinach that I have washed and destemmed and dried and all the good things. But it looks like a lot of spinach now, but it's gonna cook way, way down. So if you've ever cooked spinach before, you know what happens. Oh, there goes my oven. So you're gonna let this wilt down, probably take about 5 minutes or so. Maybe 2 minutes into cooking this spinach and like, look at how much it has already reduced. You saw how much was in that bowl and it's already down to this. So I have a few more minutes to go. So look where we're at now. I mean, there's almost nothing in there. And you wanna cook this until most of the liquid is gone. It doesn't all have to be gone. I've turned the heat off. I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, a little bit of black pepper, and 6 to 8 cloves of minced garlic. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of garlic. It kind of is, but you know. And I minced this ahead of time. I'm sure you could probably use the jarred stuff too if you would like. So just mix that all together. Now that we've cooked our spinach mixture, it's time to get serious. We've got our pastry. I bought this frozen. This is a pound of phyllo pastry. You do want to let this thaw, just according to package directions. The kind that I have said to let it thaw at room temperature for 3 hours, or you could go overnight in the fridge. Leave it sealed until you are ready to use it because this stuff dries out like crazy. And then it shatters and it's real bad. I have half a cup of olive oil. It sounds like a lot of oil, but you do need it. I'm gonna take my little pastry brush and you start by brushing a sheet pan with olive oil. You may even need to add a little more. I didn't say this was a low-calorie dish. Are any of my dishes low-calorie? Usually not. It's not what you come here for. I hope you come here for the vintage recipes and the good vibes. I haven't used this stuff in years, so I am a little nervous. I'm gonna unroll this bad boy. Oh, it's so thin. Oh heck. Yeah, it's like paper. This is like paper. Do it kind of like almost one by one. See, I already broke a piece. This is going great. I love doing this on camera. Now I remember this being a lot bigger. How do I want to do this? I don't want to mess around because I gotta make some decisions here. I'm gonna do it this way. That's what I'm gonna do. It really depends on what kind of dough that you get. Kind of layering it this way so it's like 2 shorter pieces. So in between each layer, you're gonna need to brush that with oil. You kind of gotta work a little fast. So I'll speed this part up for you to watch, unless I have something interesting to say. Most likely I do not. You can actually wrap this in a damp paper towel if you think you need to. I'm hoping I don't. So we're gonna live on the edge. I'm just gonna keep it the way it is for now. I'm gonna move on to the second package. I think I'm just gonna cut the camera here. I think you've watched me do this long enough. I'll see you when I'm ready to do the next step. So it looks something like that. I'm gonna fold these edges down a little bit just to give it a bit of like a handle, a pizza handle. But yeah, there's little flakes of it you can kind of see coming off. It just gets so dry so fast. This is what we have so far. We're gonna start putting on some yummy toppings. This is some shredded whole milk mozzarella, and that goes on first. Now I think that when I initially made this in high school, I don't think we did that. I think we put everything on top. I'm excited. You're supposed to leave a bit of a border. See, I've already messed that up. It's fine. This is not the only cheese that you will be putting on this pizza. The phyllo pastry that I purchased, and I don't know if this goes for all of them, is actually vegan. So I think you could use some vegan cheese if you would want to do that, and this would be such a good dish. It is already a meatless meal. So there's my spinach mixture. You can see there's still some moisture in it. So take a slotted spoon, squeeze it out, let it drain a little bit, and then just kind of spread it out as best you can. It smells incredible. Like I haven't even baked anything yet. And this spinach mixture with all that garlic and lemon juice and goodness, like it just smells so good. You'll see how much spinach there is on this pizza when I get all of it on here. It doesn't look like a lot, and that was a whole pound. So 2 of those like salad bags of spinach. I'm almost out of spinach now. You could maybe take a little bit of a shortcut if you want and do some frozen chopped spinach that has been thawed and drained, and then mix it with your ingredients. I wanted to do the full effect, fresh spinach, etc. Just because that's how I first made it. So on top of the spinach, I have some thinly sliced tomato. I did this ahead of time. I did it all ahead of time. I like to slice tomatoes, like fresh tomatoes, and then I just sprinkle a little bit of salt on them. Just a little bit. Don't need a whole lot. I did drain these just a little bit on a paper towel. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things you could do if you wanted to shortcut this. Could maybe even use some like fire roasted diced tomatoes. You know what a fan I am of those. Oh, that's looking good. Look at that. I already like how this looks. Next, I have some Kalamata olives. I love olives. I love them. I would love to give this pizza to some people who aren't super fans of olives like I am. So I'm probably just gonna put that on half. I just drained these and cut them in half. It doesn't even say to cut them in half. They're already pitted. And now, the second of the cheeses, you probably have guessed, it's feta. So I have some fresh, like crumbled feta. This is actually a little bit less than what was recommended in the recipe, if you can believe that. It says 12 ounces, and I accidentally just only bought 8. So we're gonna work with 8. I mean, it looks like, looks like this is gonna be more than enough. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I don't know why it's been this long since I have made this recipe, but I remember it being pretty incredible, at least to my palate. It was very hard to get these ingredients in my small town. I'm pretty sure the first time I made this, I did not use any feta because we didn't have it in town. And then when I made this again at home, we had to make a special trip to a special store to get the feta and the olives, and it was probably like an hour drive. Yeah, I'm so excited to eat this, but I have to bake it first. It's going into the oven at 375 degrees for 30 minutes. Let's talk about the Enchanted Broccoli Forest. This book was originally published in 1982, and then it was re-released in 1995. That's the edition that I have, the one that I got in high school. It was written by Molly Katzen. You might be familiar with the Moosewood Cookbook or the Moosewood Restaurant. Moosewood Cookbook was her first cookbook, and she was one of the original founders of the Moosewood Restaurant in Ithaca, New York. It's a very famous natural foods restaurant that features vegan and vegetarian items, and it is still in business today, running as a collective. The original founders sold the restaurant to the employees in 1978. Pretty cool. Molly Katzen has written 12 cookbooks, and all of them are hand lettered and illustrated by her. So I think this is one of the most gorgeous cookbooks. Let me just kind of show you an example. So this is just the acknowledgements page and the dedication. And she drew all this. That is her handwriting. Every introductory page to every chapter has a beautiful illustration in it. Like I can't imagine how long this took. They're so detailed and they're just so pretty to look at. I was originally drawn to this cookbook because of the title, The Enchanted Broccoli Forest. I mean, it got me. And I mentioned that I originally borrowed this book from my home economics class. We had a little lending library of cookbooks, and that's where we would choose our recipes to make for class. I got so attached to this cookbook that when I spotted it in Bookland, if you remember Bookland, they were just little bookstores that appeared in like very small regional malls. I saw this cookbook and I had to have it, and I believe that this was part of my birthday present that year. It might sound a little silly now, but I think this book helped draw me into food. I mentioned earlier that when I originally made the recipe that I'm preparing in this video, I couldn't get a lot of the ingredients in my small town. That was quite a while ago. But I think there are still lots of places where it might be difficult to find certain things. And this book and the recipes, it kind of made me feel a little bit adventurous. You know, there were things in here that I had never tried before, but I really, really wanted to, whether that meant making a special trip somewhere or what. The things that I'm cooking with in this recipe probably seem pretty commonplace to you. You know, in my little hometown, you couldn't find that stuff. Just to show a few more of the beautiful illustrations in this book. This pumpkin tureen. I've never made it, but it is something that I really wanted to make growing up, and I feel like I should probably give this a try since I'm an adult now and I can do whatever. But basically, you put all of your ingredients inside of a pumpkin that you've kind of scraped all of the stuff out of it, but you put everything inside and you bake it and make this soup. And then when you serve the soup, you spoon it out and you kind of scrape up some of the pumpkin flesh to serve. Oh, and then this recipe for inspiration soup. I did try this one. It has tons of vegetables in it, artichokes, mushrooms. I love both of those things, spinach. I remember it being very delicious, very vegetable heavy. So if you need more vegetables in your life, like this is the recipe to go with. So the bread section in this is unbelievable. Starting with the beautiful illustration to introduce the chapter, but then she has this entire 2-page spread on just the process of making bread. And this is all hand lettered, hand illustrated. Like, look at the detail in that. It's just amazing, and I think it's so cool. And I cannot imagine how long this took. I still love this cookbook today. I'm so happy that I decided to pull it off the shelf and film a recipe. I think just about anybody could find something in this book for them. Yes, it's a vegetarian cookbook. I myself am not a vegetarian. I enjoy meatless meals, and this has a huge variety of them. This has a lot of amazing recipes in it. Anything from appetizers, salads, main dishes, even baked goods. I remember making an apple pie with an oatmeal cookie crust from this book that was just delicious. I highly recommend this book, whether you find an original vintage copy or you get one of the reprints. Will you just look at that? So beautiful. I am so ready to give this a taste. Try using just my regular pizza wheel. Ooh, did you hear that? That crispy? Listen. Amazing. That side has 0 olives. This has olives. So I'm gonna go with the olives for myself. So pretty. It smells so good. It's just so dang good. It's like a pizza, but it's really more like a spinach pie. So it's like a combination of the two things. Tastes amazing. I think when I was cooking the spinach, I said, maybe you should add more salt. I forgot. Don't add more salt to that spinach because you have that feta, and the feta cheese is very salty, as you probably know. Molly Katzen says you can also assemble this ahead of time and refrigerate it before you bake it. I haven't tried that, but I think it's a great idea if it does work well, just because it does take a decent amount of time to put this together. So if you're trying to make this for a party or something, having it assembled ahead of time would probably be a good move. I recommend this. I love this. I'm bringing this recipe back into my life on a regular basis, and I think that you should give it a try too. I hope you like this video, and if you do give this recipe a try, I would love to hear about it, so please leave me a comment. If you like recipes and cookbooks from the 1980s, I have an entire playlist and I will link it in the description down below. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I post videos about food, vintage cookbooks, and retro recipes every week. Thanks again, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.